Wayne, and I'm coming to you live from CNN 8. The focus of today's broadcast is the nitrogen cycle. Joining us are some star scientists, Max Holtz, Will Reed, and Drew Mion. These scientists are going to give you a great explanation of the nitrogen cycle, what it does. Now to you, scientists, Max, Drew, and Will.
Thanks, Miller. The nitrogen cycle is a very intricate process that involves the atmosphere, lithosphere, and hydrosphere. Nitrogen makes up about 78% of the air in our atmosphere, and it can be found in rocks and sediments, both found in our lithosphere. In addition, nitrogen is very important to basic life because it is a key part of amino and nucleic acids. However, nitrogen gas in the atmosphere, N2, is not usable by organisms. It then goes through the process to become usable and then cycles back into our atmosphere. These three steps of the nitrogen cycle are nitrogen fixation, nitrification, and denitrification. On to Will for the first step.
Thanks, Max. Starting with nitrogen fixation. Nitrogen fixation is the process of free nitrogen gas combining with other elements to form more reactive nitrogen compounds like ammonia, nitrites, and nitrates. Nitrogen is the most limiting nutrient for plant growth, and legumes can access nitrogen from the air through the relationship with bacteria found in the nodules of the legumes. Nitrogen is used in building nucleic acid and proteins, meaning it's very important for life on Earth, which means that the process of nitrogen fixation is also very important. The nitrogen gas is split and other elements are added onto it to produce compounds like ammonia that can be used by plants. A recent headline from Louisiana State University highlights the vast learning required to understand and progress such a complicated process. They are aiming to unravel the inner workings of nitrogenase, which would pave the way for cleaner, more efficient nitrogen fertilizer. With that, here's Drew for the next step.
Next, nitrification is a microbial process in which ammonia is sequentially oxidized into nitrite, and then nitrate. This process is primarily carried out by autotrophic nitrifying bacteria that use inorganic compounds for energy. In the first step, ammonia oxidizing bacteria convert ammonia into nitrite, which is toxic for plants. On the second step, nitrate oxidizing bacteria oxidize nitrite into nitrate. Although some heterotrophic bacteria and fungi can also perform nitrification, their activity occurs at slower rates. It can be visualized as NH4 to NO2 plus O to NO3. Nitrates are important for coordinating gene expression in plants, protein and hormone synthesis, and metabolism, which trigger various growth mechanisms across the plant. Next, Max will explain how these nitrates will be converted back into nitrogen gas through denitrification.
Lastly, denitrification. Denitrification is similar to nitrogen fixation, as denitrification is done by a diverse group of prokaryotes and some denitrifying bacteria. In anoxic environments, these organisms convert nitrate into nitrite, removing one of the oxygen molecules, which is then converted into nitric oxide, thus removing another oxygen molecule, to then adding a nitrogen molecule to form nitrous oxide, to finally separating the oxygen molecule from the two nitrogen molecules to form the nitrogen gas, removing the bioavailable nitrogen and returning it into the atmosphere. It is an aerobic process that mainly occurs in soil, sediments, and anoxic zones, lakes and oceans. It is crucial process that for wastewater management, that removing the nitrogen compounds that could cause eutrophication in the water. However, in agriculture, denitrification is bad because it is the primary way that reactive nitrogen is removed from the soil. Now, time for a commercial break.
Lightning. Powerful, dangerous, but useful. When lightning strikes your house, it can be costly. Our patented Smart Strike lightning rod harnesses the energy from lightning and redirects it to the soil below. That means no more wasted nitrogen and no more damage to homes. The nitrogen redirected to soil increases plant growth and the viability of soil. Smart Strike, protecting your homes, adding nitrogen to your soil.
It was done by researchers at university in Beijing, China, on the effects of nitrogen addition on plant properties and microbiomes. They found a sharp contrast in different nitrogen inputs. It was apparent that plant biomass and nutrient content increased linearly with the addition of nitrogen. Likewise, plant traits correlated strongly with soil nitrogen levels. As we can see in the chart, plant biomass and total biomass both go up linearly and consistently with the addition of nitrogen. The effects were most prominent in Gramineae, the gray charts. Overall, the study concludes that nitrogen in soil is the limiting element for plant growth.
You Humans do lots of things to impact the nitrogen cycle. Fertilizer runoff, the burning of fossil fuels, raising livestock, and deforestation, just to name a few. When we manufacture fertilizer using the Haber-Bosch process, lots of energy is consumed and water is often polluted. For example, in a recent article from the New Lead Wisconsin, environment groups report that nitrate contamination in agricultural fertilizer and manure is creating a growing public health crisis, with many wells and streams exceeding safe drinking water standards and posing risks such as adverse birth outcomes and potential cancer links. They urge stronger enforcement, updated water standards, noting that utilities have already spent over $40 million on nitrate remediation. We all love beef and chicken, but large-scale livestock farms have lots of environmental impacts. Manure releases ammonia into the air, increases nitrogen runoff into waterways, and contributes to the growth of harmful algae. Lastly, the impacts of deforestation. Removing vegetation disrupts nitrogen uptake by plants, causing soil erosion and nitrogen runoff into water. When you are fertilizing, eating, building, remember all the environmental impacts.
Is your garden dead or dying? If so, you need Nitromax. Our nitrogen-based fertilizer with 70% nitrogen content will revive your home garden. Nitromax significantly improves plant growth in areas deprived of nitrogen. However, excessive use can alter the natural nitrogen cycle. Use Nitromax carefully to give your plants the fuel they need and to ensure a full and lush garden.